Hello students, in today's lecture, we will discuss NCERT Exemplar of chapter number 17, that is Locomotion and Movement. This is disclaimer. So this will be our learning objectives. We will explore and understand the fundamental concepts of this chapter, that is chapter 17, Locomotion and Movement, by working through the NCERT Exemplar. So this is our index, which includes multiple choice question, very short answer type question, short answer type question, as well as long answer type question. So first 10 questions will be MCQs based, then next 7 questions will be very short answer type questions, then next 7 questions will be short answer type question, and then we have 2 long answer type questions. So in total we have 26 number of questions, and we will try to cover them in this session. So this is our first question, which is MCQ based, and the question is match the following. So we have to correctly match column 1 and with column 2, and we have given 4 options, so we have to see which is correct option. Let's see the answer. So here the correct option is C, which is A is matched with 2, B is matched with first, C is matched with 4, and D is matched with 3. Let's see the reasons. First, talking about A, which is fast muscles matched with second, which is lactic acid. Why? Because fast muscles fiber produces lactic acid during anaerobic respiration. Now, talking in detail, fast muscle fibers mainly use anaerobic respiration, which means they don't need oxygen to produce energy. This process quickly releases energy for short, intense activities like sprinting, but it also creates lactic acid as byproduct, which can cause muscle fatigue and soreness. So this makes fast muscle fibers ideal for quick bursts for energy, but less efficient for prolonged activity. So that's why A is matched with 2. Then talking about B, slow muscle fibers, which is B, is matched with first, which is myoglobin. Why? Because slow muscle fibers have more myoglobin for oxygen storage. Now, talking in detail, slow muscle fibers have a higher concentration of myoglobin, which is a red color pigment that stores oxygen within the muscle cells, allowing them to sustain contractions for longer period of time without tiring, making them more fatigue resistant. So, that is why slow switch fibers are ideal for activities that require endurance, like long distance running, as they efficiently uses oxygen to produce energy. That is why B is matched with A first, that is myoglobin. Now, talking about C, which is actin filament, is matched with I band. Why? Because in the I band, actin filaments are exposed and interact with myosin heads during contraction. Now, in the sarcomere, we know that actin forms the thin filaments which are located in the I band, a region that contains only these thin filaments and no thick filaments made up of myosin. Now, 4, talking about D, sarcomere is matched with 3, that is contractile unit. Why? Because the sarcomere is the contractile unit of the muscle fiber. Let's see in detail. So, the sarcomere is the basic unit that helps muscle fibers contract and found inside muscle cells. So, it is made up of thin and thick protein filaments that slide past each other during contraction, allowing the muscle to shorten and produce movement. So, that's why, because sarcomere is the fundamental contractile unit of the muscle fiber, D is matched with 3, that is contractile unit. Okay. Now this is question number 2, and the question is ribs are attached to. So we have talked about it many times that ribs are attached to sternum. Okay, so here the correct answer is B, that is sternum. Let's see the answer in detail. So we know that ribs are connected to the sternum, which is the long bone in the center of the chest, helping to form the rib cage and protect vital organs like the heart and lungs. So this attachment provides structural support and flexibility to the chest area, allowing for breathing movements. Okay. And also the rib bones connect to the thoracic vertebrae at the back, which are the middle section of the spine. This connection allows the ribs to form the rib cage, which protects vital organs like the heart and lungs, and also helps in breathing by expanding and contracting with the movement of the diaphragm. So you can see in this picture how the ribs are different pairs of ribs, like true ribs, false ribs, floating ribs are connected to the front part of we can different flat bone, which is called as which is also known as breastbone, is connected to the different pairs of ribs. Okay, that is why our answer is B. So let's see why other options are incorrect. First, talking about scapula, which is also known as shoulder blade, is a flat triangular bone located on the back of the body. So it sits over the ribs but is not directly attached to them. So instead, it connects to the clavicle and the humerus, allowing for wide range of motion in the shoulder joint. So you can say that scapula plays a key role in stabilizing the shoulder and providing attachment points for several muscles and control arm movement. Now, clavicle, talking about clavicle, it is also known as collarbone, is a bone located in the shoulder area. It connects the shoulder to the sternum, that is breastbone, and is a part of shoulder girdle. So, unlike the ribs which are connected to the spine, the clavicle is not connected or attached to any ribs. This bone plays a crucial role in supporting the shoulder and helping to transfer forces between the arm and the trunk of the body. Now, ilium is the part of the pelvis, which is the bony structure that forms the basin of the lower abdomen. It is not connected to the ribs, which are the part of the rib cage and the upper body. So, the ilium helps support the spine and provides attachment point for muscles that are involved in movement and posture. Now, this is question number 3, and the question is, what is the type of movable joint present between atlas and axis? So we have discussed many times that this type of joint is pivot joint. It is called as pivot joint. Let's see the details. So a pivot joint allows for rotational movement around a fixed axis. So it means that one bone spins or turns on another bone, like the movement of the neck or the wrist, which helps in turning the head or twisting the hand. So this type of joint is important in biology as it enables specific types of movements needed for daily activities and body functions. Now this joint is found between the atlas, that is C1, and axis, which is C2 vertebrae in the neck, and is a unique pivot joint that allows the head to rotate side to side, such as when you turn your head to look over your shoulder. So it is called as pivot joint because one bone, that is atlas, rotates around the other, that is axis, enabling smooth and controlled movement of the head. Now this lines tells us that pivot joint between the first vertebra, that is atlas, and the skull, which allows the head to rotate side to side, such as when you turn your head, we have already talked about it, when you turn your head to look left or right, it helps in rotation. Okay, it is involved in rotatory movement. So this type of joint is found in the neck region, and it is very crucial for as it provides flexibility and movement of the head. So this joint enables us to rotate the head from side to side. Now you can see the picture, which is showing how it leads to rotational movement. Okay, how pivot joint is the joint that is responsible for the joint between atlas and axis. Let's see why other options are incorrect. Talking about saddle joint, it is like a thumb and hand joint which allows movement in two planes, such as flexion, extension, adduction, or we can say adduction. It enable a wide range of motion. So unlike the atlas and axis vertebrae, which allow only limited rotation of the head, it is not found in the neck region, and instead it is found in the areas like wrist, where it provides greater flexibility for gripping and as well as manipulating objects. Okay, so it provides flexibility, and we can see in the areas when around our wrist, it helps in rotating our wrist, and it is unlike atlas and axis, it talking about atlas and axis, it allow only limited rotation of the head, but saddle node is not found in the neck region. Instead it is found in the areas like this, where we can rotate or we can see great flexibility for gripping as well as manipulating objects. Talking about hinge joint, it is like the elbow, which allows only back and forth movement, making it suitable for actions such as bending and straightening. Okay. Unlike the atlas and axis vertebrae in the neck, which allow rotational movement of the head, hinge joint do not support rotational movement, but they make simpler, because they are simpler in structure and function. Okay. So they unlike atlas and axis, they do not allow any kind of rotational movement, and they shows limited movement. Okay. They completely do not support rotational movement. Talking about gliding, it is a type of movement where bones slide past each other along a flat bone, which is commonly seen in joints like the wrist carpals, allowing a smooth and flexible motion without rotation. And it is difficult and it is very different from the movement at the atlas axis joint, which involves rotation of the head. Now this is question number 4, and the question is ATPs of the muscle is located in. So we have given 4 options. Let's see which one is correct. So the correct option here is C, which is myosin. Let's talk in detail about the correct answer. So ATPase is an enzyme which is found in the globular head of the myosin protein, which plays a key role in muscle contraction by using energy from ATP to cause the movement of actin and myosin filaments. Now, during cellular respiration, the breakdown of ATP into ADP and inorganic phosphate releases energy that is used to power various cellular activities such as muscle contraction and active transport. This process converts the stored chemical energy in ATP into usable mechanical or chemical energy for the cell, which is essential for maintaining life processes. So we have already talked about it. The correct answer here is myosin. You can see the head region, you can see the cross arm region, you can see ATP binding site and actin binding site. Okay, that's why the answer is C, because here the question asks us about ATPs of muscle is located in. So it is located in the myosin head. Okay, that we can see in this diagram. Now let's see why the other options are incorrect. First, actin is a protein. Talking about actin, it is a protein that is found in muscle cells that plays a key role in the muscle contraction by helping muscles shorten when they contract. However, unlike another protein called myosin, actin does not have the ability to directly use ATP for energy, which is why it lacks ATPase activity. This means that actin relies on other proteins like myosin to utilize ATP and initiate contraction process. Now, actinin, other option was actinin. It is a protein found in the muscle cells that helps anchor the actin filaments to the Z lines, which are the boundaries of each sarcomere. This anchoring is important for maintaining the structure of the muscle and allowing for proper contraction. So, unlike some other proteins that is involved in muscle movement, actinin does not have the ATPase activity, meaning it does not use energy from ATP to function, unlike myosin, which does. So our next option was troponin in the question. So talking about troponin, it is a protein that is found in muscle fibers that helps regulate muscle contraction by binding to the calcium ions, which are released when the muscle is stimulated. When calcium binds to the troponin, it causes a change in shape that moves tropomyosin away from the actin filaments, allowing myosin heads to attach and pull the actin, leading to muscle contraction. Importantly, troponin itself doesn't use ATP for this process, unlike the ATPase enzyme involved in the sliding filament mechanism, which provides the energy for muscle movement. Okay, so we have seen the correct answer for this question is option number 3, and we have also seen why the other options are incorrect. Let's see the next question. The question, this is question number 5, which is MCQ based, and the question is intervertebral disc is found in the vertebral column of, and we have given 4 options. Let's see the correct answer. So this is the answer is C, that is mammals. Let's see the answer in detail. So, talking about intervertebral discs, these are soft, cushion-like structures located between each vertebra in the spinal column of mammals. So, they act like a shock absorbers, helping to distribute pressure and allowing flexibility in the spine, which also prevent the vertebrae from rubbing against each other. So these discs are made up of a tough outer layer called the annulus fibrosus and gel-like inner core, which is called as nucleus pulposus, which helps in maintaining the spine's stability and range of motion. Now, this disc found between vertebrae in the spine allow for flexibility and shock absorption by acting as cushions that reduces the impact of movements and prevent the bones from rubbing against each other, which helps protect the spinal structure and maintain smooth movement. So you can see intervertebral disc which is present between the vertebra, or we can say between two vertebrae. So this is lateral view. So that's why the correct option here is option number C, because intervertebral disc is found in the vertebral column of mammals. Okay. Now let's see why other options are incorrect. First, talking about birds, they have a few spine without intervertebral disc, which provides a rigid structure to support their flight. This adaptation helps in creating a strong, lightweight skeleton that is essential for efficient flying, as it reduces flexibility in the backbone and allows for better control and movement of the wings during flight. Now, talking about reptiles, they have a less flexible spine compared to other animals because they lack intervertebral discs, which are the cushions between the vertebrae that allows for more flexibility and movement. So this makes their spine stiffer and less adaptable, which is an adaptation that helps them move efficiently in their environments, such as crawling or swimming. But it limits their ability to make rapid, or we can say complex movements. Now, talking about amphibians, they have a simple backbone without an intervertebral disc, which are the small cushions between the vertebrae in a more advanced vertebrates like us. So, this simpler spine provides basic support for their body, but it also it is less flexible and strong compared to the spines of reptiles and mammals, which reflects their primitive evolutionary position in the vertebrate group. So the correct option here is option number C, and we have also discussed why the other options were incorrect. So this is question number 6, and the question is, which one of the following is showing the correct sequential order of the vertebrae in the vertebral column of human beings? So we have given 4 options. Let's see the correct sequence. So we have the correct option here, that is option number D. So let's see the answer in detail. So cervical vertebrae are the first 7 vertebrae in the spine located in the neck region, and they are the topmost vertebrae in the entire spinal column. And these vertebrae support the head and allow for its movement, such as bending forward, backward, and side to side. They are smaller and more flexible compared to other vertebrae, which helps in the smooth movement for the neck. The next point is, thoracic vertebrae are the 12 bones in the upper part of the spine located in the chest area, and they are connected to the ribs, which helps protect the organs inside the chest and allows for breathing movements. So you can see this picture which is showing vertebral column and different regions of it. You can see cervical region, lumbar region, thoracic region, okay? So coccyx region, which is the tailbone. So you can see the different region, or we can say the following sequence of this spinal column. Okay, vertebral column. So first we have cervical, then thoracic, then lumbar, then sacral, and then coccygeal, which is tailbone. So talking about lumbar vertebrae, these are the 5 bones you can see also in the picture in the lower part of the spine, specifically in the lower back. They support the upper body's weight and help in movements like bending and twisting. These vertebrae are larger and stronger than those in other regions of the spine to handle the extra stress from the upper body. They also form the base of the spine, connecting to the pelvis, and are crucial for maintaining posture and enabling flexible movement in the lower back. Now the sacral vertebrae are the 5 individual bones that become fused into a single bone called as sacrum. This fusion happens during development and forms the back part of the pelvis, providing strong support for the spine and helping to connect the spine to the hip bones, which is very important for weight distribution and movement. Talking about coccygeal vertebrae, these are 4 small bones at the very end of the spine that have fused together to form the tailbone, which is also called as coccyx. This structure is the remnant of the tail that our early human ancestor had, and it is now a small triangular bone at the base of the spine. So you can see in humans it is not used for movement, but may have some supportive or muscular arrangements. So this is question number 7, and the question is which one of the following pair is incorrect. We have to identify the incorrect pair. So we have given 4 options. Let's see the correct answer. So here option number A is correct, which is hinge joint which is present between humerus and pectoral girdle. So this sorry, we have to opt the incorrect one. Okay, and here all the 3 were correct, and the incorrect pair, or we can say the correct option here is A, which is hinge joint that is not present between humerus and pectoral girdle. Let's see the answer. Why? So the joint between the humerus, which is upper arm bone, and the pectoral girdle, which is shoulder blades and collarbone, is a ball and socket joint. It is not a hinge joint. So in this type of joint, the rounded head of the humerus fits into the cup-shaped socket of the scapula, allowing a wide range of movements like lifting and rotating arm. This is different from a hinge joint, which only allows movement in one plane, like the elbow. So a hinge joint, like the one in your elbow or knee, allows movement mainly in one plane, similar to how door hinge lets the door swing open and close, but not sideways or up and down. So this type of joint enables bending and straightening movements, which is very important for many daily activities, and is supported by ligaments that keep the bones stable while allowing controlled motion. Now, a ball and socket joint, like the one in your hip or shoulder, allows the bone to move in many directions because the rounded head of one bone fits into the cup-shaped socket of another bone, enabling movements like bending, twisting, and rotating. This type of joint provides a wide range of motion, which is very important for activities like walking, running, and lifting. Let's see why other options were incorrect. So the pivot joint, talking about pivot joint between atlas and axis and occipital bone, allows the head to rotate side to side, like when you turn your head to look over your shoulder, and enabling smooth and controlled movement of the neck. This is actually correct, but according to this question, because we have to opt the incorrect one, this is wrong. Talking about gliding joint, like the one between the carpals, or we can say its bone, allows the bones to slide slightly over each other, providing flexibility and a smooth range of motion in the wrist, which is very important for everyday movements like writing, or we can say typing. Talking about third option, which is saddle joint, it is the one in your thumb, and it is a type of joint where one bone fits into the concave shape of another, allowing the thumb to move in multiple directions, up and down, side to side, and even in a circular motion. So this unique structure provides the thumb with a wide range of motion, which is important for tasks like grasping, pinching, and manipulating objects, making it a crucial part of hand function. Okay. So saddle joint permits multi-directional thumb movement. So this is question number 8 of MCQ, and the question is knee joint and elbow joints are example of. So you have given 4 options. Let's see the correct one. So here option number D is correct, which is hinge joint. So knee joint and elbow joints are examples of hinge joint. Let's talk about it more. So a hinge joint is like the one in your elbow or knee, allows movement in one plane, similar to how doors opens and closes on its hinge, enabling back and forth motion, but not the rotation or side to side movement. So this type of joint is found in the human body and helps in activities like bending and straightening limbs. So a hinge joint allows for back and forth movement, like the hinge on the door. Now, the movement of the joint described is similar to how the knee and elbow joints work in human body. Just like the knee allows bending and straightening of the leg, and the elbow allows bending and straightening of the forearm, this joint also enables similar types of movement such as flexion and extension, which are essential for various physical activities and everyday tasks. So you can see the picture of hinge joint, which is present, which can be seen between humerus and ulna or radius. So it is like the hinge on the door. Let's see why other options are incorrect. So we had first option, that is saddle joint. It is the one in your thumb that allows movement in two directions such as up and down, side to side, making it more flexible than joints like the knee or elbow, which mainly move in one direction, either bending or straightening. Okay, so this unique structure helps the thumb grasp objects easily, which is very important for everyday tasks. Talking about ball and socket joint, it is like the shoulder joint allows movement in all directions because the rounded end of one bone, that is the ball, fits into the cup shaped socket of another bone, enabling a wide range of motion such as lifting, rotating, and moving the arms in various ways, unlike hinge joints like the knee and elbow, which only allow movement in one plane. Talking about pivot joint, it allows a bone to rotate around a fixed axis like the movement of the neck, where the head turns side to side. So, unlike the knee and elbow joint, which mainly allow bending and straightening, pivot joints enable this rotational movement, which is important for certain bed or we can say certain head and neck movements. So this is question number 9, and the question is macrophages are and leukocytes exhibit. So we have to determine the correct type of movement that these two exhibit. Let's see the correct answer. Option C, that is amoeboid movement. Let's see why this is the correct option. Talking about amoeboid movement, it is a way some cells move by extending temporary projections. We can call it as pseudopodia. It helps the cell push itself forward, allowing it to move through its environment, similar to how an amoeba moves. Now, the statement that is this is characteristic of macrophages and leukocytes refer to the ability of these cells to engulf and destroy pathogens, a process known as phagocytosis, which is a key function in the immune response. So, macrophages and leukocytes, particularly neutrophils and monocytes, play a vital role in defending the body against infections by recognizing, engulfing, and breaking down foreign particles and bacteria. So you can see the extension of pseudopodia, which is responsible for the movement, and this is overall showing, this picture overall is showing amoeboid movement, which is generally caused by the pseudopodia, or we can say false feet. Okay, it helps them to move forward. Let's see why other options are incorrect. For ciliary movement, it refers to the coordinated beating of cilia, which are tiny hair structures on the surface of certain cells. These cilia work together in a synchronized manner to move substances or fluids across the cell surface, such as in the movement of mucus in the respiratory tract or the movement of eggs in the fallopian tube. This process is essential for various physiological functions and is regulated by the cell's internal structures. Now, talking about flagellar movement, it refers to the how organisms use their flagella, which are long whip-like structures, to move. When an organism needs to move through a liquid environment like water, it uses longer flagella to create a whip-like motion. So this movement helps propel the organism forward, allowing it to swim or move in the direction it needs. So this can be commonly seen in certain bacteria and single cell organisms, where the coordinated beating of flagella enables efficient movement. Now, gliding movement, it refers to the smooth and coordinated movement of cells over a surface, which is a type of cell movement observed in certain organisms like bacteria and some protozoa. So, This process is important for activities like locomotion, attachment, and even immune responses. It involves the interaction between the cell and the surface it moves over, often facilitated by the structures like flagella, pili, or cytoskeleton elements. So, this movement is typically slow and controlled, allowing the cell to navigate its environment efficiently. So this is the last question of MCQ, which is question number 10. And the question is, which of the following is not a disorder of bone? So we have to opt the incorrect one. So here option D, that is atherosclerosis, is the incorrect option. Is the correct option, and in the incorrect one according to the question. Let's see the details. So, atherosclerosis is a condition where plaque made up of fat, cholesterol, and other substances build up inside the arteries, make them narrow and hard, which can reduce blood flow and increase the risk of heart attacks, or we can say strokes. So, it affects the arteries, not the bones, as bones are made up of living tissue and they do not have the same type of lining or blood vessels that are involved in this process. So, that's why this is the correct option. Next, see the other point. So, this condition is a type of cardiovascular disease with arteries narrow due to the accumulation of plaque, which is made up of cholesterol, fat, and other substances inside the artery walls. So, over time, this buildup restricts blood flow, increases blood pressure, and raises the risk of heart attacks and strokes. So, it is a major cause of heart disease, and it often linked to lifestyle factors like poor diet, lack of exercise, and smoking. So you can see this is the condition as it is caused by the buildup of fats. Okay, it is basically a cardiovascular disorder where arteries become narrow due to plaque buildup. So for in first one you can see the normal artery, and in the second picture you can see some buildup inside the blood vessel, and this is due to fat and other debris get accumulated there. That is why it constrict the blood vessels. Okay, so this is not a bone disorder, this is a cardiovascular disorder. Let's see why other options are incorrect. Because arthritis is a bone condition, or we can say it is related to disorder of bone. So it is a condition where joints, which are the points where bones meet and allow movement, become inflamed. This inflammation can cause pain, swelling, and stiffness in the affected joints. So if not treated, arthritis can lead to damage of the bones and cartilage, making movement difficult and affected. It can affect overall mobility. So it is a common disorder that can occur due to various reasons like wear and tear, autoimmune responses, or infections, and it is often managed with medications, lifestyle changes, and physical therapy. So we had also this option, which is osteoporosis. It is also a disorder of bone. So it is a condition where bones lose density, become weak and brittle, which increases the risk of fractures even from a minor falls or even everyday activities. So this happens when the body loses more bone mass than it can replace, and often due to aging, poor nutrition, lack of exercise, or hormonal changes. So it is common in older adults, especially postmenopausal women, and can lead to serious health issues if not managed properly. Rickets, it is also a disorder of bone. So it is a condition in children caused by the lack of vitamin D, which is essential for strong bones. Without enough vitamin D, the body cannot properly absorb calcium and phosphorus, leading to soft, weak, and sometimes deformed bones. So this can cause problems like bowed legs, delayed walking, bone pain. So it is commonly seen in children who don't get much sunlight or have poor diets lacking vitamin D. Now this is question number 1 of very short answer type, and the question is, name the cells or tissues in human body which first one the exhibit amoeboid movement and second is ciliary movement. Let's see the answer in detail. So A, cells exhibiting amoeboid movement. First, we have white blood cells or leukocytes. They are vital part of the immune system and help the body fight infections and diseases. They are produced in the bone marrow and are found in the blood and lymphatic system. So they are different types of WBCs, such as neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, basophils, each with a specific role in defending the body against various pathogens. Unlike RBCs, white blood cells are fewer in number but play a crucial role in identifying and attacking harmful microorganisms, thus protecting the body from any kind of illness. Talking about macrophages, these are large WBCs that play a key role in the immune system by engulfing the digesting engulfing and digesting harmful pathogens like bacteria and viruses, and this process is called as phagocytosis. So they also help in cleaning up dead cells and debris, maintaining tissue health. They are found in various tissues throughout the body. Macrophages here acts as the first line of defense against infections and are very important for both innate as well as adaptive immune responses. So you can see in this picture how pseudopodia is responsible for amoeboid movement, and you can see also the back and front beating of cilia, which is connected to or which is attached with the basal body, and this back and front beating is responsible for ciliary movement. Now B, that is cells or tissues exhibiting ciliary movement. Let's see. Epithelial cells, okay, which line the respiratory tract, such as trachea and bronchi, are specialized to protect the airways and facilitate breathing. So these cells form a thin continuous layer that traps dust, bacteria and other harmful particles through cilia and mucus, preventing them from entering the lungs. So the cilia here acts like tiny air brushes, moving the mucus and trapped particles upward toward the throat, where they can be expelled. So this lining also helps keep the airways moist and prevents them from drying out, ensuring smooth airflow during respiration. Now, epithelial cells lining the fallopian tubes are ciliated and have rhythmic beating motion that helps in the movement of the ovum from the ovary to the uterus, aiding in the process of fertilization. So these cells also secrete fluids that nourish and protect the egg, and their structure ensures the proper transport of the ovum through the fallopian tube. Now this is question number 2, and the question is sarcolemma, sarcoplasm and sarcoplasmic reticulum refer to the particular type of cell in our body. So which is the cell and to what parts of the cell do these names refer to? Let's see the answer in detail. So the terms mentioned are related to muscle cells, or we can say muscle fibers, which are specialized in the body, responsible for contraction and movements. So muscle cells, which is also called as muscle fibers, contains numerous microfibrils, which are thread-like structures made up of repeating units called as sarcomeres. These sarcomeres are the basic functional units of muscle contraction, composed of thick and thin filaments made up of protein like actin and myosin. So the sliding filament theory explains how these filaments slide past each other during muscle contraction, which is facilitated by the release of calcium ions and the use of ATP. So this process allows muscles to generate force and movement essential for body functions. Let's talk about sarcolemma, which is a major component. It is a special outer layer of the cell membrane that covers each muscle fiber, which is a single cell in muscle tissue. So it acts like a protective covering and helps in sending and receiving signals that control muscle movement, making it essential for the muscle to contract properly. Talking about sarcoplasm, it is a cytoplasm found inside the muscle cells, and it contains multiple nuclei, which helps in providing the necessary proteins and energy for muscle contraction. So you can see sarcoplasmic reticulum of the muscle fiber in this picture. Now the sarcoplasmic reticulum is a specialized form of the endoplasmic reticulum found in the muscle cells, which helps store and release calcium ions during muscle contraction, playing a key role in the process of muscle movement. So this is question number 3, and the question is, the three tiny bones present in the middle ear are called as ear ossicles. Write them in correct sequence beginning from the eardrum. Okay, let's discuss the answer. So the ear ossicles are three bones in the middle ear that help transmit sound vibrations from the eardrum to the inner ear. Starting from the eardrum, the correct sequence is malleus, or we can say hammer, incus, or we can say anvil, and staves, which is stirrup. These bones amplify and pass the sound vibrations to the cochlea, which is responsible for converting sound into nerve signals. Now, the malleus, incus, and stapes are the three small bones in the middle ear that work together to transmit sound vibrations from the eardrum to the inner ear. So, the malleus hair shaped like the hammer and is attached to the eardrum and receives sound waves. It then passes the vibrations to the incus, which is shaped like an anvil, and finally to the stapes, which is shaped like a stirrup, which pushes against the fluid in the cochlea, converting sound into nerve signals that the brain can interpret. Now you can see the different bones, or we can say three tiny bones in the which is present in the middle ear, which collectively called as ear ossicle, that is malleus, incus, and stapes. Now this is question number 4, and the question is, which tissue is affected by myasthenia gravis? What is the underlying cause? Let's discuss the answer in detail. So the skeletal muscle and neuromuscular junction are the key parts of the body's movement system. So skeletal system is generally made up. It is made up of long fiber like cells that contract when messages from the nervous system reaches them. So the neuromuscular junction is a special spot where a nerve ends and connects to the muscle fiber. So here the nerve sends a signal using chemicals called as neurotransmitters, which make the muscle contract. So this process allows us to move our body parts voluntarily, like lifting an arm, or we can say walking. So you can see this condition here. The major affected areas are skeletal muscle and neuromuscular junction. Let's see the underlying cause. So this condition is an autoimmune disorder when the where the body's immune system mistakenly attacks, or we can say it produces antibodies that attack and damage acetylcholine receptors on muscle cells, preventing proper muscle contraction and causing muscle weakness, and we can say fatigue. Now the next point means that when certain conditions affect the nervous system, it can stop the nerves from sending signals to the muscles, which then leads to muscle weakness as the muscles do not receive the instructions to contract. So this concept is related to how the nervous system controls muscle movement. Okay, when nerves and muscles work together through nerve impulses to enable movement. So this is question number 5, and the question is, how do our bone joints function without grinding noise and pain? Let's see the answer. So let's explore the reasons behind this smooth and pain-free movement. Now first, smooth cartilage covered surface of bones and reduces friction. This is the first point. And here you can see the synovial joint, the image of synovial joint. You can see fibrous layer, joint activity. Fibrous layer, it is of joint capsule. Now the second component, that is joint activity. With synovial fluid, that is very important. This is the lubrication. This provides lubrication for the two bones to move smoothly without causing any friction. Then we can see synovial layer, and then we can see articular cartilage. Okay, so these all components are the main components which is responsible for the smooth movement of the joints. Okay, so this is the one which provides which that function without grinding or pain, Okay, so you have to remember that the smooth cartilage covered surface of bones and reduces friction here. And you can see also here synovial joint, and which contains synovial fluid, and this is the fluid that is important for lubrication. Okay, so you have to remember this point. Now, the synovial joint that we have already talked about, it acts as a lubricant, reducing friction between bones and allowing smooth movement. So it functions as a shock absorber, protecting the joint from damage during movement. Additionally, it supplies nutrients to the cartilage, which doesn't have its own blood supply, ensuring the cartilage remains healthy and functional. So this is question number 6, and the question is, give the location of ball and socket joint in human body. Let's see the answer in detail. Let's talk about ball and socket joints. These are found mainly in the shoulder and hip, where a rounded head of one bone fits into a cup-like socket of another bone, allowing a wide range of movements such as lifting, rotating, and bending. Now, the shoulder joint is where the rounded head of the humerus bone in your upper arm fits into the shallow socket called the glenoid cavity of the scapula, which is your shoulder blade. So, this structure allows for a wide range of motion, making it one of the most flexible joints in the body, which is very important for activities like lifting and reaching. So, you can see the picture of ball and socket joint, which is present in the shoulder region. Okay, in the first picture you can see the hip joint, and in the second picture you can see the shoulder joint. So talking about hip joint specifically, it is a ball and socket joint that we already have discussed, where the rounded head of the femur, that is the thigh bone, fits into a cup-shaped acetabulum of the pelvis, allowing for a wide range of movements like bending, straightening, and rotating the leg, which is very important for walking and maintaining balance. Okay, so it helps in maintaining balance of the overall body. Now, this is question number 7, and the question is, our forearm is made up of 3 different bones. So, we have to write a few comments about it. Let's see the answer in detail. So, the forearm, which is the part of the arm between the elbow and the wrist, contains only 2 bones, that is radius and ulna. Unlike the upper arm, which has 1 bone, that is humerus, the forearm has 2 bones that run parallel to each other. These bones allow for movement of the wrist and hand, and they work together to provide flexibility and support in the forearm region. Then humerus, it is a long bone located in the upper arm, connecting the shoulder to the elbow, and it is not part of the forearm. So the forearm consists of 2 bones, the radius and the ulna, which are located below the elbow. So the humerus is a part of the arm, specifically the upper portion, that plays a key role in arm movement and supporting the structures above the elbow. The forearm, whereas, is the part of the arm between the elbow and the wrist, and it includes bones, muscles, and tendons that allow you to move your hand and wrist. So when you extend your forearm, like when you straighten your arms, the muscles in your upper arm contract to straighten the elbow and the wrist, making the forearm move upward and away from the body. So this movement is essential for everyday activities like lifting objects, or we can say typing. So the radius is one of the 2 long bones in the forearm, and it is located on the thumb side, which is the outer or lateral side of the arm. So this bone runs from the elbow to the wrist and works together with the ulna to allow the arm to rotate and move the hand in different directions, such as turning the palm up or down. So the ulna, talking about ulna, it is one of the 2 long bones in the forearm located on the medial side, which is the side of the forearm closer to the little finger. So it runs from the elbow to the wrist and works with the radius to allow the forearm to rotate and move the hand in different directions, such as when you turn a doorknob. Now you can see the picture of forearm, and we can see the components at radius, ulna, carpal, metacarpal, phalanges. Okay, so you can see different portions of the forearm. Now this is question number 1 of short answer type, and the first question here is, with respect to rib cage, explain the following. We have to explain these 3 types of ribs. Let's discuss the answer in detail. Let's talk about bicephalic ribs. These refers to the 2nd to 10th pairs of human ribs, which has 2 heads or ends, allowing them to attach to 2 different vertebrae, providing more flexibility and strength in the ribcage structure. Now the given statement here refers to the bone in the vertebral column that has 2 articulation points on its dorsal, or we can say backside, meaning it connects with 2 vertebrae above and below, allowing for flexible movement and structural support in the spine. Now you can see the picture of the of ribs. You can see 3 types of ribs in the picture, that is true ribs, false ribs and floating ribs, which are connected in the front with the sternum, or we can say breastbone, which is a flat straight bone. And these are and talking about true ribs, these are from 1 to 7 pair of ribs are constitute true ribs. Then next 8 to 10 pair constitute our false ribs, and the last pairs, which are free from the sternum, they are not connected to the sternum, they are 11th and 12th pair, and these constitute our floating ribs. Now here you can see unique structure of the first thoracic vertebrae, which has a special feature allowing it to connect with the 2 adjacent thoracic vertebrae instead of just one, which is typical for most vertebrae. So this adaptation provides additional stability and flexibility in the thoracic spine, helping to support the rib cage and protect the vital organs in the chest region. Let's talk about true ribs. So these are the first 7 pairs of ribs in the human body that we have just discussed, which are directly attached to the sternum via their own costal cartilage, allowing them to move and aid in breathing. So these ribs provide structural support to the rib cage and protect vital organs in the chest, such as the heart and lungs. Now some ribs called as true ribs, as they attach directly to the sternum through their own costal cartilage, which gives them strong support and helps from the rib cage, protecting vital organs like heart and lungs. Now let's talk about floating ribs. We have already discussed about it. The 11th and 12th ribs are the last 2 pairs of the ribs in the human body, and they are unique because they do not have proper attachment to the sternum, making them floating ribs. These ribs are literally shorter and more flexible, and it provides less structural support but allows for greater movement in the lower part of the rib cage, which can be important for breathing and as well as protecting the internal organs. Now, floating ribs are the lowermost ribs in the human body that do not connect to the sternum, unlike the true ribs. So instead, they end freely in the abdominal wall without any direct attachment to the sternum, providing less structural support to the rib cage compared to the other ribs. So this is question number 2, and the question is, in old age, people often suffer from stiff and inflamed joints. What is this condition called, and what are the possible reasons for these symptoms? Let's see the answer. So, arthritis is a condition where the joints become inflamed, leading to pain, swelling, and stiffness, making movement difficult. Rheumatoid arthritis, which is RA, is a specific type of arthritis that is autoimmune disorder, meaning that the body's immune system is mistakenly attacks its own joints, causing chronic inflammation and potential joint damage over the time. Now the condition is a long-term, or we can say chronic and autoimmune disease, meaning the body's immune system mistakenly attacks its own healthy tissues, or we can say healthy joint tissues, leading to inflammation and damage over the time. So you can see the picture which is showing the condition of arthritis. So it primarily affects joints symmetrically on both sides of the body, causing pain, swelling, and stiffness. This condition most commonly affects joints in the hands, wrists, knees, feet, and ankles, which are the areas of the body that experience a lot of movement and pressure. So these joints are more susceptible to the damage and inflammation, leading to symptoms like pain, swelling, and reduced mobility. So this is often seen in conditions like RA or osteoarthritis, where the immune system wear and tear can cause joint inflammation. Now this is question number 3. And the question is, exchange of calcium between the bone and extracellular fluid takes place under the influence of certain hormones. What will happen if, so we have given two conditions, that is, first one is what will happen if more of calcium ions is in extracellular fluid, and second is what will happen if very less amount of calcium ion is in the extracellular fluid. Let's discuss the answer in detail. So parathyroid and thyroid glands work together to regulate blood calcium levels through a feedback system. Okay, and the parathyroid glands release parathyroid hormone, which is PTH, when blood calcium is too low, which increases calcium absorption from the intestines, reabsorption in the kidneys, and releases from the bones. So the thyroid gland, specifically the parafollicular cells, releases calcitonin when blood calcium is high, which lowers calcium levels by inhibiting bone breakdown and increasing calcium excretion in urine. So this balance ensures stable calcium levels in the body, essential for nerve and muscle function. Let's see the next point. So let's see, when more calcium ion is in the extracellular fluids, what will happen when more calcium ion will be in the extracellular fluid. So calcitonin is a hormone secreted by the thyroid gland, which helps regulate calcium levels in the body by reducing the amount of calcium when it is too high. So it works by inhibiting the activity of osteoclasts, the cells that break down bone, to release calcium into the bloodstream, thereby lowering blood calcium levels and maintaining bone health. So it refers to the process in the body where the hormone involved, such as parathyroid hormone, helps in increasing the amount of calcium stored in the bones, leading to stronger and denser bones by pulling calcium from the blood into the bone tissue. Now, when blood calcium levels are too high, the body responds by increasing the deposition of calcium ions into the bones, and this process is called as calcification, which and it leads to storing of excess calcium in the bones, which lowers the concentration of calcium in the blood, bringing it back to the normal range. So this mechanism is a part of body's way to maintain homeostasis, ensuring that calcium levels remain balanced for proper functioning of muscles, nerves, and other bodily processes. So you can see in this picture maintenance how calcium level is maintained in our blood. So what happens when it get high and what happens when it get low, and how parathyroid hormone is involved in this balance. Now this is the second condition, when less calcium ion is in the extracellular fluid. Okay. So, parathyroid hormone or PTH is released by the parathyroid glands, which are small glands located behind the thyroid gland in the neck. So, this hormone play a key role in regulating calcium levels in the body, or we can specifically blood. So, when blood calcium levels drop too low, the parathyroid glands releases PTH, or we can say parathyroid hormone, which helps increase calcium levels by stimulating the release of calcium from the bones, which increases calcium absorption in the intestines and reducing calcium excretion through the kidneys. So this ensures that the body maintains a proper balance of calcium, which is essential for functions like muscle contraction, nerve signaling, and bone health. So this line explains the process that helps release calcium ions from the bones into the blood, and also makes the kidneys reabsorb calcium back into the blood, which increases the calcium levels in the extracellular fluid. So here it is written that it eventually restores the blood calcium level. and it refers to the body's mechanism to maintain a balanced level of calcium in the blood, which is very important for functions like muscle contraction and bone health. So when blood calcium levels drop, the parathyroid glands releases parathyroid hormone PTH, which stimulates the release of calcium from the bones into the bloodstream, and it also increases calcium absorption in the intestines and reduces calcium excretion by the kidneys. So this process ensures that blood calcium levels return to the normal range, demonstrating the body's ability to regulate mineral balance through hormonal control. So here's the image. Here you can see the overall maintenance of calcium level in the blood. Now this is question number 4, and the question is, Radha was running on the treadmill at a great speed for 15 minutes continuously. She continued the treadmill and abruptly came out. For the next few minutes, she was breathing heavily or fast. So you have to answer the following questions. First one is, what happened to her muscles when she did exercise? And the B is, how did her breathing rate changes? Let's see the answer. So talking about first condition, during strenuous exercise, the muscles are subjected to intense activity. So when oxygen supply becomes insufficient to meet the energy demands of the muscles, anaerobic respiration happens. This is very important. So this complete process leads to the accumulation of lactic acid within the muscle fibers. So it is a primary cause of muscle fatigue and can result in pain. Let's see the second condition, reasons for changing her breathing rate. So the body's breathing rate increases significantly during and after strenuous exercise. Now this elevated breathing is the physiological response to the increased demand for oxygen. This is very important. Additionally, the increased carbon dioxide levels in the blood the increased carbon dioxide levels in the blood resulting from the cellular respiration stimulate respiratory centers. Okay, so the increased level of carbon dioxide in the blood results in, or we can say promotes the respiratory centers resulting from the cellular respiration. Now this further increases the rate and depth of the breathing to expel CO2 and take in more oxygen. So this is question number 5, and here the question is, write a few lines about God. Let's see the answer in detail. So it is mainly the inflammation of joints due to accumulation of uric acid crystals. Okay, it is caused by the accumulation of uric acid crystals. It most commonly affects the first metatarsophalangeal joint, which is the big toe, which is also known as podagra. Okay, so how it happens, or what is the main cause of it? The main cause of it is the accumulation of uric acid. So it is the condition of inflammation of joints, and whom it affects. It majorly affects the first metatarsophalangeal joint, which is the big toe, and this is known as podagra. Okay. Now let's talk about the risk factors. So risk factors includes obesity, high purine diet, or we can say red meat, or we can say seafood, alcohol consumption, certain medications, or we can say it majorly affects male. Now let's talk about symptoms. Symptoms include sudden severe pain, redness, swelling, and warmth in the affected joints, often starting at night. Now this is the picture. Here you can see the inflammation of joint, which is caused by particularly the accumulation of uric acid. Okay, and in which part it affects? It affects the first metatarsophalangeal joint, or we can say big toe, and is known as podagra. So this is very important. So thank you so much for listening. We will end up this session here.